Spider-Man for PlayStation 4 has sold quite a few copies. In just the first 3 days, they sold 3.3 million copies of the game.
Worldwide?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, there are a couple of things that this doesn't include. These do not include the copies of the game that were sold with the PlayStation 4 Pro bundle.
Like the one you... isn't that like the one you have? Like they sell like the special version and it comes with... Okay.
Yeah. That, of course, I already had the game, so that went somewhere else. But the new... it doesn't include those at all. I would assume it would include digital sales, but they didn't really announce that. But here's a couple of the things that Sony had to say. This makes it, by the way, their best-selling, or I believe the term is fastest-selling exclusive title ever.
Wow.
So that's quite impressive. Now, Sony Global Senior Vice President of Sales, Stephen Turvey, when asked about this, stated, Our expectations are always set at the highest levels. He said that bringing Spider-Man back to gaming in a way that you want to experience it. He, of course, credits that to Insomniac, the development studio. He said it's met and exceeded all expectations. I think the company and the campus and our fans are super proud of it. So what does this mean? Well, number one, it means that Sony getting the license for Spider-Man worked out really well.
Yeah. If not in the movies, maybe in the video games.
For the games.
Yeah.
Because Activision had the license for this forever.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. Their titles were very hit and miss. Some very, very good, but not across the board. The other thing is we are probably going to get a sequel to this. I haven't beaten the game yet, but I have heard that the ending does leave it hints very strongly at the possibility of having a sequel. Now here are a couple of things that I take away from this. Is number one, a lot of people have been saying, and when I say people, like typically mean games journalists, the people that really follow this industry, and it's their job to not just follow it, but make predictions about it. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have been saying that AAA game development, which by AAA game development, they mean like the best of the best, the high quality, high production value gaming. Top shelf gaming, yes. The games that take millions and millions of dollars to make. There's been this prediction out there for a long time saying that it's probably going to go away. It's getting too expensive. The sales numbers don't justify spending that much time. It takes a lot of time to do it. It takes a lot of people, a lot of man hours to make it. And that's not very conducive, especially when you have indie developers coming out and making also very good experiences, but on a shoestring budget. So, if anything, the mid-range games have died out. Like the games that were kind of campy and not really... trying to think of a good example of a mid-range game. Like
Godzilla Unleashed.
Croc, Legend of the Gobos. For the original PlayStation. That would be considered a mid-tier game.
Godzilla Unleashed for PlayStation 2.
Yeah, sure.
That was a fun game.
I've never played
Exactly. It's
Godzilla.
not AAA, but it's not indie. Or maybe even that Hulk game that we were talking about the other day. Wouldn't that be... Or is that a...
I would say that was AAA.
Yeah,
that was a big deal. That was marketed a lot when it came out.
Maybe Godzilla was too. I have no idea.
Yeah. Another thing that people were saying until now, because you've had God of War be hugely successful... Detroit Become Human. Sony has really been pushing Last of Us, by the way. Mm-hmm. Sony has been really pushing and doing great work in the single player games market.
Yeah. Not
everything has to be a big online Call of Duty like shooter where everyone's playing everyone. Fortnite, Battle Royale, that kind of thing. You can have a very successful game and just have it be single player and not
Yeah.
hardly have any online aspect to it at all.
I like single player games the most, so.
I do too.
Yeah.
I don't have
agree.
to. I don't like playing on someone else's schedule. I like playing on my schedule.
When and how I want to play it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very self-centered gamer.
Bottom line.
Yeah, but bottom line is this along with God of War and the other titles that I've mentioned, these types of games aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I've never felt that. And this is kind of unrelated, but these same people used to say like, oh, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, it's probably going to be the last time we see console gaming. And then this was before they came out and released. People were thinking, oh, no one's going to buy these. The sales numbers are not going to do well.
What's the alternative? Just PC? What?
PC, or have like a universal box that like everyone releases their games on.
What?
Yeah.
What
Really
kind of socialist idea is that?
Really stupid ideas. I'm just saying, like it. And this console generation blew everyone's expectations, but people are still saying, "Oh, console gaming, it's going to be gone in a few years." It's not going anywhere. Yeah. And they keep saying, "Oh, well, the next one or the one after that will be the last one," and they keep pushing things out.
Yeah,
it's kind of like climate change. You just push your predictions out, and then people never call you on it, except if you're like me and I have a very long memory. But yeah, these types of games aren't going anywhere. Consoles aren't going anywhere. Console exclusives aren't going anywhere. AAA, that's another thing. This is a console exclusive.
Yeah.
For PlayStation. You make a good exclusive. This is why Sony is so successful this generation, is because they just keep putting out really good content that you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
That's been Nintendo's secret. That's why Nintendo has been so successful.
Right.
But the thing is Sony, while their first party software and their games may not be like the legendary status that like Mario and Zelda are,
they're still really good.
They're really
and
good.
They're also a lot more like, I don't know, like high quality, like
graphically higher fidelity, higher production value, just because the systems that they release are better.
Yeah.
They can do more as far as the graphics go. Nintendo is still lagging behind, graphically speaking. So, but they make it work for them.
Yeah.
I mean, the Switch is, a very impressive console that can be used in handheld mode. The Wii U didn't have that handheld mode, so it was basically, why would I want a PlayStation 3 that has an extra screen on it?
You can play it in the bathroom.
What? The Wii U?
The Wii U, yeah.
Tried it, doesn't work.
Really?
It doesn't really. It only works if you're in the same room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's dumb.
Yeah, pretty dumb. So yeah, I would just say that this proves that these types of games aren't going anywhere, and I'm happy because I'd love to see a sequel come out for this.
Well, like I was thinking, like, wouldn't development for that like bleed into the next generation?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a sequel on the PlayStation 4.
That's sad. I could see that being setting a really good stage for the release, like the game for the release of that next Spider-Man 2. For the game, like for the release of it, that would be a big deal. Like people would really want that. Right.
The only bad part about this is they've made such an impressive, and this is not Unreal Engine 4, by the way. This is like Insomniac's proprietary game engine. A lot of games are built with Unreal Engine 4. It's like kind of the go-to engine to make your game in if you want it to look really good. And options too, like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which is a very unique looking game, runs on the same engine as like Mortal Kombat 10.
Doesn't Dragon Ball Fighter Z use cell shading?
Yes. Yeah. And it uses it in a very specific way to make it look a lot like the animation.
Yeah.
But this is not Unreal Engine 4. It looks just as good, but it's an engine that they've designed specifically for Spider-Man. So if they move to another, the next sequel, I guess they'd have to make a new one.
Maybe they could just tweak the old one, upgrade it.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works.
and that kind of gets into a deeper conversation about like, well, what are the new consoles going to be like? visually, are we going to see a huge difference? Are
How
we
much
just
better can you get visually at this point?
Is it just going to everything going to run native 4K?
I mean, they're out there making
4K
making TVs that are so good, like are like we've reached a peak where our eyes can't even
tell the difference.
Tell the difference. So it's like, what's, like, I don't know.
We're getting diminishing returns, not just on TVs, but I would also make the argument with video game consoles.
Yeah.
Like, why would we need them to be that much better? Because honestly, like, the difference between PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, it's there, but not that much. Like, we didn't really, and a lot of time went by.
Yeah. Like,
PlayStation 3 is a 10-plus old console, but those games still hold up because we haven't really improved that a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a deep conversation to get into to think. I would hope that they could just take this engine, tweak it up, do more with it. Because honestly, that's what Unreal does anyway. Yeah. It's Unreal Engine 4 because there have been 3 previous versions of it. So hopefully they can just add on to it, and we won't have to wait too long for a sequel to happen. But congrats, Insomniac and Sony.